And we are live. How we doing? Alright, I'm gonna pull up some random reference on my other screen here. And alright. So let's just keep pushing on the paintings from last week. How about that? So we're gonna essentially do kind of the same thing we did last week in terms of the adjustments. It's just we're gonna take it one step further. So I'm actually gonna maybe break these out into individual files. So let's grab some. And we'll just throw, say, this guy. We'll do a duplicate, and we'll throw it into the new document. There we go. So let's just start with this guy, and we'll start chopping them up and playing more, even more than we did last week with this composition. The one thing that I see right off the bat that I really like is kind of how I love how like wide this kind of like it feels like this really nice arc going back and forth between the our kind of hero building on the left here and our big bright light source. So I'm gonna try to kind of play with that length and probably move the bottom here once more, kind of like up a little bit. Try to make this place feel even deeper than it is right now, and we'll probably play a little bit more with these figures and the posing and what the storytelling actually is. So to do this, I'm just going to start chopping some stuff up really quick. Oh no. Okay, I want the inverse of that. And then I want to get rid of all of that. There we go. So now I've got this one kind of freely. So by bringing this up a little bit, it just kind of makes that lake, that kind of water source, kind of crunch down and be a little bit more. This it looks like we're a little more over top of it with the perspective, so we're just gonna tighten out that perspective and just drop that somewhere up there. And then since we squashed our guys, I'll just kind of like very quickly bring them back here. But what's really important is that read of that water source. Then I'm actually going to take all of these guys. See what happens if I just drop it down. So we'll make the kind of like the cavernous space above be a little bit more important. That'll make this place feel a lot more uh, you know, deep and foreboding, almost like I keep going back to these terrible like dark themes, but um, very intimidating of a place, very cavernous, very large scale. And I'm just kind of quickly scrubbing away at some of this to kind of unify where I just chopped up the picture. Chop, 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 scrub, scrub, scrub. I almost slept past you guys. I was taking a quick nap, and I look at my clock, and it was like 8 till the top of the hour. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna miss the stream. Oops. All right, so I just want to get rid of this line here, so it's not messing with my sense of the composition. And I can actually very quickly make that even smoother just with a nice soft brush. That'll just kind of get rid of the texture of that brush I was using. Actually, let's sneak more of the darkness lighting, kind of like almost directionally. Once again, always keeping that composition in mind. So now we're bringing more of that focus to this building once more. And I'm going to flatten all that down, and I'm going to start thinking about the figures once more. So I'm actually going to go to a very, just for kind of placing these guys and trying to think about the storytelling, I'm going to go to a obnoxious color just so I can see, and I'm just going to sketch over this with a bright red, just to think about the figure drawing. So, you know, when you're doing figure drawing, you keep like really loose and just find like the gestures of the figures just to like get the like feeling of the motion and all that. Well, that's kind of what I'm trying to capture with not thinking about the light and how to render them and everything. I just want to think about the movement of the pose. So I know that I want to make some kind of a rhythm going like towards the water and looping from over here, make our attention go this way, find some type of focus over here, and then loop it back towards our main object, which is our building back there. So, just want to try to think about perspective where kind of like find a camera here. So So these are just perspective lines that are all kind of leading towards the horizon here. Boom. So I'm just trying to think of how high the camera is actually sitting. Because the thing is, we could put the camera quite high, or like pointing up, so it makes everything feel grander. But then the camera would actually be sitting quite low, and the humans would be like above the horizon line. So they'd essentially be like more like that, exactly like that. Just thinking about the linear perspective. Sometimes stick figures are still good, even when you're doing more complex paintings, just to get a sense for rough scale and flow. Let's think here. Just gonna turn those down a bit to see over them. Just trying to think about where to place these guys, so it benefits the composition best. I like how our horizon line is almost sitting on one of these thirds. We can have, I think we definitely should have one of our guys right by the edge of the water, kind of like where he was, but more like up. So that he hits that third mark. And I'm just using some rough triangles to feel out the figure, or at least the size of the figure. And maybe we can manipulate the terrain to our advantage a little bit too. So if we have this one figure here, maybe he can be a little smaller, but the terrain almost lifts up to him. So he's there, and then it kind of comes down a little bit. And that's kind of our base leading out to that lake. And then we're going to have our second human figure somewhere around here. Does that feel right? Let's see. Just putting in some random lines to feel out the ground, what the flow of this ground really is. Happy little ominous space trees. That's what it's all about. I love that phrasing, Leslie. It's all about those happy little ominous space trees. So if the horizon line's there, then the shoulders will still kind of match up on the horizon line here for this guy. So we want to be careful how far over we put him. We probably want to put him quite over in the frame. So like this is kind of the height of his shoulders, and then we know we want him to be looking, say it this way. And just placing in some rough scribbles to figure out his rough proportions. Very rough. And I think that second one I'm gonna have to play with where they are. Because then what I want to do is I want to start designing these guys' poses to further stories. Now I know their exact positioning. I know kind of the directionality of where I want the eye to flow. So now I need to make poses that fit the storytelling and fit that directionality to lead the eye. You, sir, are not going to be happy there. Oh, it could be interesting if there's one, like... I like the idea of having their shoulders align. Because then you can have one here, like, looking back this way. Like he's walking backwards, like almost like they're walking, and then he's like looking behind them at a second. All right, I'll scribble away some of these other random lines that were just kind of there to help me before. And I'll kind of block these in quickly with something rather bright and obnoxious, just so I know kind of what these rough placements are. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Charlie, when you creating the character, how did you decide on the name Elon? Well, I couldn't call him Damien, now could I? It's a little hidden homage to Elon Musk, just in the sense of the fact that it takes place on Mars. It really has no connection to him, but and then Liam, are any of these astronauts Elon? One of them, I believe, is Elon. And then who knows who these other mysterious people are, or what this mysterious building is. Alright, now I gotta start scratching away at this foreground again. To find this ground a little bit better. There's probably gonna be some rocks over here. Things like that. Paint out the figures that were left over from before. Paint, 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 paint. Scribble, scribble, scribble. I thought that thing on the right was the building. So this is going to end up being like a big cavernous space. Like, and then this is going to be a big focus. So I'll probably, like, once we get into color, that'll probably be a good chance to do some good color design on this building. With, like, the warmth of the light coming from up here. And then maybe some, like, cool, more digital looking, artificial looking lights on the building itself. Almost rid of those leftover astronauts. Something's still not feeling right about this guy, the middle guy. Where's he at? Let's crunch all these down and just take him and move him around. See where he might belong. Megan B. Charlie, you would run an entertaining cooking show. You'd have quality narration like chop, 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 slice and slice. That's the best narration. Gotta figure out what I'm doing with this guy here. Alright, I think this might work a little bit better. The tricky things is, for something like this, like, having them hold guns would be really helpful composition-wise, because guns are really useful to, like, point to things, essentially. Like, you point the barrel of a rifle at a gun at a certain point in the painting, it makes your eye go over there. The same as having a human, like, look somewhere. You just naturally then look where other humans look. The trick is, I want to try to find a way to do this painting without any of these guys holding guns, because it doesn't really fit what's going on at that point in the story to have them holding guns. I might even lift. Let's crunch all these down and even lift this up. Have this guy in the middle be even more prominent than the other ones. Really accentuate that hill we got going on. And this way, the character, that kind of center character that I'm working on right now, is also breaking the silhouette of the main building that's going all the way across here, which is good because then like when our eyes hit this main building, it runs into our main character, which is really, really nice. And then we just got to play cleanup down here. So you can see I'm constantly destroying things. I'm constantly moving things around. Nothing is precious. Nothing is really set in stone. I could put a giant mark all the way through the painting right now, and it wouldn't really change too much. And that comes with some like confidence of just knowing that I can figure this out, even if it gets to a place where it's really, really messy and really, really bad. I can always find a way to bring it back and save it. Okay, I want to create some perspective off the side here. So I have these rocks, so I'm just going to make another big rock. And that'll help to just cement that this side is kind of closing in and coming towards us. And we kind of get the sense that there's some stuff there. Roughen it up a little bit. Right? Why? Where would these shady astronauts get guns, and why do they need them exactly? I'm going through my water too fast. I'm gonna have to, in a couple minutes, run and grab a cup of water real quick. Okay, so I don't want you to have a gun. You do not have a gun, sir. You are not licensed for concealed carry. Even though you are licensed to be an astronaut. Maybe... Man, are they carrying something down here? Are they... Like, maybe this one can have, like, a radio out or something. Or, like, something to scan. Like, they're scanning for something. This one can just be kind of staring off at this main place. And this one I feel like should be... This guy in the middle, he's, like, almost more on edge. I want him to be looking back towards this guy, because I think that'll create a really nice back and forth. That'll kind of get us from, okay, this guy points us there, this guy points us in this direction, but then our eye runs into him, and that's also connected to this line here, which is part of the main hero object, and your eye just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes, and that's kind of the mark of a good composition. So let's kind of zoom in on this little chap and start thinking about how I'm gonna put him in. Guess I can't really lower down that transparency too much, can I? So let's just paint him over a little bit to darken him down. Oh, whoops, that's all the way on that one. Get him a little translucent. Alright, human anatomy. This is gonna be... This is one of my weaknesses currently. So, this will be fun to struggle through. But we'll start just by blocking in the main anatomy so that we can kind of build the space armor on top of that and have it all mostly correct. So we got a cranium. We know that third down is going to be the head. Third down after that is going to be the shoulders. The shoulder is going to be tilted a little bit. And that's our center line right there. So there's one head, there's two head, there's 1, 2. So here's the bottom of the rib cage. So we're a little oval to block in that rib cage. A little triangle to block in the pelvis real quick. Except this is going to be at more of an angle. So it's going to be like, so there's more of our pelvis triangle. Getting that contrapposto going in there. Can anyone tell me what contrapposto means? There's some shoulder blade number 1, shoulder blade number 2. Boom, you guys are getting it. Is that when the body weight is sort of asymmetrical, like leaning on one leg rather than standing very stiffly? It's contrasting pose where the shoulder and hips are angled against each other. There you go. There's the solid one. So yeah, so it's where if you're drawing the pose of someone, and you know it's really well known in like the Renaissance. If these are the shoulders and the hips and this is the person's head, right? You don't draw them straight like this. You actually draw them opposing, and it creates more dynamism. Because now when I do this, the chest to the groin and the hips and all that, it just creates a nice S curve, and it's a little more appealing to look at design wise. That's why, like, if you look at how, like, even something like how runway models walk, it's very intentional to get those angles of the hips and shoulders going, just because it's an appealing way to display the human body. Okay, so there's one. Got that kind of skeleton popped in. Maybe... Still trying to think about this second guy down the line now. Yeah, I just won't for now. Alright, so there's layer number 1. We can now kind of go to layer number 2. And as I work on this guy, I'm actually going to put in a temp layer here that's just completely... bloop. Completely opaque. Just so I can kind of dull out that background. And just think about this character itself. And before I do that, I'm going to run and get a drink of water. Because holy crap, I went through my water so fast. So give me 2 minutes, and I'll be right back, and we'll start drawing this this figure and getting his suit on. I'm back. All right. And now I can start kind of drawing over this one with a slightly darker color. So we know cranium's there, so the helmet has to be a little bit bigger than that in general. So I'm gonna start with an oval for that. If I can get it cleaner. Ugh. Alright, I'll scratch it in. And then I actually want to go back and reference the shape I did on this one, because I kind of liked this helmet. So I'm just going to literally steal this as a reference real quick. Go duplicate and put it in the new one, or in the untitled one. Now it'll pop on in here. Oh. Whoops. Not what I wanted. That's what I wanted, I think. Ah, there you are. Good, so now we can just directly reference this guy. I like that the shape flow on the side of that quite a bit. Okay, so we know the ear starts right around here, which is kind of where that curve is kind of coming in. So, boop. And we can find kind of where that goes around. It's going to go a little bit lower. And it'll be roughly in here like that. And then it'll kind of like mess up the back. So the back will become a little bit more angular to contrast the smoothness of the front of this guy. And this needs to be a little bit bigger of a visor. All right, something in here. Got something in there. And then it connects to his shoulders. Got his little device thingy, whatever that happens to do. Megan, is it true that when you draw circles, you should pull the pencil towards yourself, and the lines, you should push it away? I read that somewhere. I don't know if it's a legit art thing. Well, what that's alluding to is actually a greater principle of just draw from your shoulder. So it's not necessarily about, like, certain lines will be easier. Like this one I'm pushing away from myself. This one I'm pulling towards myself. The bigger principle at play is when you're writing by hand, I'm writing with my wrist, right? But when I'm drawing, I'm not writing with my wrist. Like my wrist isn't planted and I'm just rotating my wrist. I'm moving my whole shoulder. So my whole arm is moving. And what that does is it creates longer arcs in your muscles and allows you to draw more sweeping, straighter lines. So when I actually started really taking art seriously, one of the first exercises I would do is I would draw a line, draw right over that line, draw right over that line, draw right over that line. Do this like 10 times on a single line, go on to a new one. Boom, boom, boom. And just doing that kind of reinforces that muscle memory. And it's a really good technique to get used to digital drawing because it's like, for instance, when I'm drawing right in front of you guys right now, I'm drawing on a Wacom tablet that's not the actual screen. So I'm looking up at my computer screen, but I'm writing down on the desk. So it takes a minute for your muscles to get used to that type of kind of muscle mapping. All right, we got bicep comes out there. Tricep sweeps from over here. All right, we're getting a rough arm in here so we can start to base our armor off of, or our suit rather, not our armor. Oh yeah. I was gonna ask if you're drawing on a tablet because I figured doing this all with a mouse and a screen would be hell. Yeah, I mean that would be. I wouldn't be capable of doing that. Yeah, but with a tablet, at least I can get much better results. There's the angle I was missing. That scapula needed to come out more. I seem to have trouble with the shoulder blades, the scapulas, like finding the right placements for them and really making them feel organic. Again, I'm an environment artist, so characters aren't necessarily my strength. And then those kind of arcs I just put in is kind of the rough shape of the pelvis that I'm going to work off of. And then we can get the beginning of the legs in there. And a little indication of where his butt's gonna be. And at least now we have a figure roughed on in there. So now I'm gonna go through that same process again. I'm gonna take that same layer. Now it has a little bit more detail than the previous layer. And I'm gonna lower the opacity and draw once more on top of this one. And we generally refer to this as the draw through method, where you're slowly building up layers of complexity. The first one we kind of mapped out some basic proportions. The second one I mapped out some very, very rough anatomy landmarks, along with kind of the roughness of where the helmet is. And this third one, now that I have some muscular structure, I can think more about how the clothing and the suit is going to go on top of him based on that anatomy. So I know he's going to have a backpack. And so, for instance, finding something like those scapulas helps me now be able to know where to place straps for, say, some type of backpack or oxygen carrying tank or something like this. And this is still just going to be another pass. So this first one's going to be kind of rough, thinking about roughing out the suit, and then I'm going to lower the opacity on that one, and then there's going to be a more refined line drawing. So hold on. Who else would be on Mars besides him, though? Oh well, I think we're gonna find out. How could people be on Mars? It's a mystery. There certainly are other people there apart from Elon, though. Megan, are these suits more skin tight than usual astronaut suits? They tend to look really bulky. Those tend to look really bulky, but these are more Star Trek. So I'm gonna try to find a happy medium um, between those two concepts. I don't want to make it super slick sci-fi. I don't want to make it super skin tight. But I wanted to have it a little more futuristic than what current astronaut suits are. Almost like trying to look ahead towards what some of SpaceX's designs are. Let me pull up like one of theirs. SpaceX space suit. Oh, that's a little boring. Okay, more like this. So, something close to almost like this, but a little more baggy. So this is still super high tech, more prototype concept stuff than stuff that actually exists. But but we can find a happy medium between something like this and something like, the traditional astronaut suits. You're asking all the right questions, Liam. I'll say that. You're asking all the right questions. All right, one shoulder pad blocked in. Two shoulder pad blocked in. That's probably going to be a little ruffled there. Okay, top of the iliac crest, top of the iliac crest. So this is actually really interesting because it's like these tops of the hip bones here. If you like feel in your own body, you can actually find kind of where those bones come out. They're the parts that like the really curvy parts on your hips. Those are really important landmark because they can tell me now where something like a belt line would fit and where weight would sit on that. So I kind of have like the line for his his belt line and his pants and where that harness might sit. So like the back to the skin tight versus more traditional astronaut suit. Kind of the pants and stuff are where I want to achieve that feeling of more traditional astronaut suits, like the bagginess of pants and things like that. Almost like snowboard pants, you know? Yeah, loop that around, loop that around. Okay. And his hand roughly, then holding the device. And am I gonna have to play with? I don't like where that arm position is, so I might have to tweak that. Whoops. No. No, I don't like that. Maybe you just switch around the whole guy. Nope, don't like that. Megan, episode 2, Elon snowboards down the mountains of Mars. Just like turn it into like a he has like an 8-track tape. He has got like a tape player with him, and he's playing like the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack, and he's just like a guy in a spacesuit snowboarding down a mountain of sand. All right, he's got his little backpack going on. Air supply. notifications thing, neck. We'll give it a little bit of color just to separate it out. Doesn't have to be anything special yet. Just enough for me to be able to see it. And this head, man, this head's bothering me. It's like too much of the too much of it showing almost on this side. Needs to be like narrower. Alright, cool. And I'm just gonna use this. We'll flip it, shrink it down, and now we kind of have that as a base to work on the next guy down the line. And we'll shrink my brush on down just to block this guy in roughly. Alright. This guy can go. Can I still see? I can. Okay, cool. So let's start painting this guy in. Charlie voices all the characters using increasingly ridiculous voices. Let's see. What would a Tarnum video game look like? I think it would probably be like a murder mystery version of like No Man's Sky or something. If I had to put my finger on it. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Alright, I need to start just blotting in colors. There's a little highlight. And you get a highlight. And I feel like Oprah. You get a highlight. You get a highlight. And let's put in some of the darker areas. You get darkness, and you get darkness. You go in darkness. A No Man's Sky with a cam. Yeah, I played No Man's Sky for a little bit, and I was a little disappointed. I think I got too caught up in the hype and was like, this game's gonna be amazing, and then it just kind of fell a little short for me. Clearly, it would be a tagline creation simulator. You know, that's all that happens at the workstation. You guys are building it up this big thing, but all that's happening at those workstations is just they have to sit down and submit like 3 to 5 good little taglines a day, and that's their whole job. You know, that's what this entire thing is about. That's all it is. Okay, I need more color variation at some point. Just gotta try to unify some of these areas. Not being too successful at the moment. Charlie deciding what happens to Elon and the rest of the character. You get darkness, and you get darkness. You don't have any drama unless you put them through some trials. Scribbling, 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 scribbling. Okay, I need to get more darkness in here for sure. Because this is not working right. Maybe I'm just working at too small of a brush right now. You get these big swaths of light in first and then worry about the details. Darkness. Okay. It's looking a little bit better. Just missing that dimensionality before. Charlie, are we making Tarnum out to be grittier or darker than it actually is? I don't know. It's pretty dark. There's for sure gonna be some levity in it, but it's certainly not a straight up comedy. that on in there. Okay, I'm finding myself a little bored with this one, so we're gonna switch gears after I save it off. Let's actually go to this one. This one's looking like fun. Duplicate into. Oh, I need to document first, don't I? Let's do like a really wide. Well, we'll try to make like a really cinematic looking composition with this one. Duplicate that into the new one. Yeah, this will be cool. And I think I'm going to jump into color with this one. Yeah, it's kind of cool. That's a cool composition. Excuse me. All right, let's try to find some color to this. Let's find our kind of sunlight color. And you know what, for this, I'm actually going to find a color reference first. And I can show you guys how I work with color references. So if I go to Google, kind of a deserty rock feel, but I want a good contrast between like blue sky and like the rock. So maybe desert, sunny images. Like honestly, more like almost like a Western color palette with more dramatic lighting, but like to capture that blue sky. Hashtag let Elon rest. That's actually really funny to me. Just trying to find a cool color palette. Maybe desert. Cool desert photos. Like here's some good colors. Oh yeah, these are some great colors. All right, let's get this down and bring in this reference. And I'll show you how you can use a photo like this to start colorizing your photo. was the normal here? Okay, we'll go to the normal, and then we'll shrink this guy down. Actually, I'm not going to use him as a base. I'm just gonna have the reference and use it to color pick and paint. So what I can actually do is take this guy, widen him up, stick the color reference up there. And now I can just start color picking. So let's drop in this sky. Paint, 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 paint. And then skies are interesting. As they get closer to the horizon, they're going to get brighter and kind of less saturated a lot of times. So just going to rough in where those colors are, and then I can blend after the fact. And you just slowly build up that gradient. And then later I can put in some clouds if I want, but for now I'll keep it kind of a little blanker. Eat more into that darkness. Boom. Okay. And now we can put in some of the rock color. So when I'm looking at matching the colors, essentially I'm just trying to match the darks to the darks, the lights to the lights. So I know, like, okay, these areas that are highlights, they're going to be the bright spots of the reference. So I can just drop in those colors real quick. That's a bright spot. That's a bright spot. And then later on, I'll go in and get all that kind of variation going. And now we find the dark spots, and we match them to the dark spots. And we can slowly start to get the feel of the rocks. So actually, so I see you guys are talking Bright Sessions. Is the first episode out, or is the second episode out, or does the second episode come out this Wednesday? Okay, first one's out. And you see, once I got those main colors in, it's just the blending process is just going back and forth between finding the middle ground between one color and the color next to it. What happened in the first episode? Because I know I have trouble keeping them straight from what actually releases. All I know is Damien's got to win everything, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, I think he's pretty deserving. He's a pretty good guy. All right. Oops. Oh. Whoa. Ah, felt that coming a mile away. Why would Damien need to apologize for anything? I think everyone else needs to apologize to him, really. Yeah. And I think once they've done that, maybe Damien will be nice enough to not mind control them. I think that's sensible. Alright, let's try to get some of this in. Let's try to get some atmospheric perspective in, because right now everything looks really flat. So now we gotta push some things back in the atmosphere. And we can do that just by grabbing our kind of atmosphere color and whoop, sweeping that across. But I want to figure out what was the original. It was left to right. So we want the left side to be brighter. Now what we could do is we can come in here, create a mask, and start eating away at some of the stuff we don't want taken out. And this texture, I just switched up the brushes just to give some free texture as well, which will be nice. Very, very concept arty type brush right here. And that slowly fades off in the background. Whoops. I quick masked. I forget, how do I unquick mask? Darn. I forget how to... Okay, cool. There we go. I'll just bring back some of this, and to kind of accentuate the directionality of light and bring back some of that sky color, I can foop, erase some of that out. And what that did is it created that sense of, just a little bit of sense of depth. Bring back a little bit right there. I like that feeling. Tarnum is the AM. Tarnum is the AM a couple hundred years in the future. What are some of these other ones we had going on? Try to grab this guy. And do a little trick to get the blending right. Nope, not what I want. Not what I want. Where is normal? No, that's not working. Oh, whoops, I'm painting on the wrong layer. There you go. All right, now I got to start getting these actual types of rocks kind of in here. So, whoops, not merge that all the way down. So we know they're going to be kind of segmented and angular, like to build up on these angles, right? So have kind of just block out these layers. And then we can kind of shape them after the fact. Maybe we can get some textured brushes to help speed up our work a little bit. This is just, we're gonna have to really search. Ooh, this is a not for what I'm doing right now, but I really like this brush. Huh? Didn't even know I had that one. 300. Good to know. We're gonna do a little brush experimenting real quick just to see what all we can come up with. Like, see, this could be good to put in some quick texture. Let's do some of that. You can kind of just quickly fake some texture. This is nice because it's giving me that that finer frequency of detail without me having to actually go in there and manual place it in. And while it looks very kind of fake and procedural, it'll give us a nice base to work off of. It almost feels like I'm putting in a canvas texture. Like I'm returning it to like a more traditional medium. Let's find some more fun brushes. Whoa. That could be fun. It's weird, like usually I only paint with a select number of brushes, and then there are a couple of brushes I use just for the main benefit of them is getting that free texture. So now I'm just kind of like discovering what brushes I even have hidden away in here. And other types of brushes are like very good for quick design. So if I'm doing like mechanical design work, I can quickly like throw certain things in, or like graphical elements and things like that. But or trees. Trees is a big one to fake with custom brushes. Oh, whoa, this is weird. Maybe that'll be good for ground texture if I shrink it all up. Ooh, that's nice. It's a nice kind of dirt texture. What happens if I try that on some rocks? Huh. Kind of like this. Like when you go over the same area a lot, you get like a very clean feel, but everywhere else it's like very fine detail. It's a good one to know about. Whoa. Yeah, that would be really good for like jungle environment, like very very tree-ish. I feel like I'm in a section down here that's a bunch of trees. Oh yeah, so like if I want to fake vines and stuff real quick. Let's try to get out of the foliage. Oh, that could be good for these rocks. Let's try some of that. Actually, let's try it on this hero rock. Let's look at our reference real quick. So let's find that slope. I almost feel like I need a brighter. Oh yeah, that's helping make them a little more, give them a little more character. Yeah, it's kind of cool. What the heck is this? Ladders. Just random ladders. Okay. Random soft brushes. Let's see what this does. Not really liking this one too much. Oh, that's cool. So that's really good for after Like either you can use that for like dust particles or even blood in certain instances. It's a really nice fluid effect. Ugh, that looks terrible. Oh, what a nice... That's a nice, clean, fun brush. Oh, wow, that feels... What number is that? Can you tell us anything about Elon's personality, ... or does the cryo chamber completely erase his personality and he has to form a new one based on his experiences? So there's definitely a large component of the idea of kind of like like relearning yourself, or like learning who you are. That's a big just idea in general of the show. Um, but Elon's personality, I don't know. He just we'll wait and see, I guess, on that one. I don't have the energy to to put it into words right now. um, I mean, personality is interesting because I find that, especially when I'm writing, it's a lot just about what does someone want and how do they try to achieve it, and how they go about both the decisions they make in trying to get what they want and what they're willing to do. That those are the kinds of things that almost define the character. Um, well, that sky's looking a little pretty. Try to soften it up a little bit. And these brushes are just... Sometimes you forget how many you have. I want to find like rock textures. Ooh, like... Nope. What is this one? Nope, don't like that. Whoa. That might help with some color variation. I know it kind of looks like leaves, but... oh, yeah, no. I can use this for sure. Ooh. Ooh, this is going to be nice. Because that's just kind of free variation that I'm getting. Oh, wow, this is great for grounds. Just blocking in quick variations of color and light. That way everything isn't so uniform and blocked out. Shadows, it gets a little weird. But it does really cool things in areas of light. Yeah, this kind of devolved into me playing with brushes, didn't it? My bad, guys. um, try to get back on track here. It's funny, oh yeah, when you go into the shadows, everything just kind of gets muddy with this brush. That's good to know. Strengths and weaknesses of all of them, but let's get some more color up there. Oh, this would probably be really nice for like waterfalls and stuff too. Like just simulating like oh yeah, wow, look how easy you can simulate like water splashing around. Oh, that's cool. So with 10 minutes left, I'll kind of make a small little announcement. Not this is not related to Tarnum, but it's related to kind of what I'm up to. Um, I am going to be leaving Los Angeles in just a couple of weeks and going up to Montreal to work on some big movies, hopefully in visual effects. So I'll be taking my paintings and my CG, and I'll be going up to one of the companies up in Montreal to work on some of the next big blockbusters, which will be really really fun. Um, and then I'll keep chugging away at Tarnum in the meantime, trying to get that out to you guys as fast as possible. Oh man, these color variations are just awesome once you start blending them all together. Yeah, thanks guys. It should be really really fun. Here I'll put a link in chat to the website of the company. There you go. So you guys can see like the types of films that they do. It's a lot of the big blockbusters. So I'm really excited. Hopefully I'll get to work on some superhero movies and some cool stuff like that. Man, I'm trying to think of what physical medium this feels like. It's reminding me of something, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Something isn't feeling right. Um, let's go back to where that really nice just. Oh no, that really nice brush. I already forgot. It's like a really nice clean brush. Come out wherever you are. Was it this one? No, it was not that one. You are not the chosen one. Whoa. Be really useful for like feather textures. Yeah, some type of like pastel, it feels like. Where did this brush go? It was so nice. Ah, this guy. Alright. So now that I got some texture in there, it's like this little balance of like adding texture in, kind of like backing it off, reworking the lighting, in doing so, destroying some texture, destroying some like color variation, going back, adding that in. It just keeps going back and forth as you refine, you refine, and refine. Because now what this is going to do is going to hopefully give me a little cleaner like silhouettes. Okay, I got to remember what this thing is. 218. That's what this brush is. Come out wherever you are. Yes, I'm officially going to Montreal for this job. Um, we'll see. We'll see how long I'm up there. But you know, a lot of movies aren't like actually made in Los Angeles. Los Angeles is kind of like the hub for casting and for pre-production a lot of the times. Um, but then you know, a lot of the times they go and film other places, and then visual effects, especially for a bunch of tax reasons. Um, there are still a number of large visual effects houses in Los Angeles, but there are actually a lot in Canada, a lot in say London. There's a really big one in New Zealand called Weta. Um, yeah, they're all over the place. Am I moving away from LA forever? I mean, we'll see. But currently, at least the next chunk of my life is going to be Montreal. Um, then we'll see what happens after that. Just chasing the telling of the stories and hopefully getting more and more involved in making movies. That's where my end game is. Um, I want to use things like Tarnum to get better and better at storytelling on the kind of writing and creating side. And then through my work and through my personal projects, I try to kind of improve my visual sensibilities, so that I can eventually direct film with very good sense for visuals and composition and lighting and all that fun stuff, and how you can use that to drive story. Let's get another piece of land kind of jutting out that way. Get that. And then now that those colors are in there, I can go ahead and shrink this down again. Oh man, I'm almost missing some of that original composition. How it was like slanted. I need to like find a way to bring that back. But I'm doing it with everything. Warp. Raise that one up. That's closer. Still needs a little bit more adjustment, but for another time. Up. It's past 8. Alright, I'm gonna save these off, and we'll call it there for the night. And so with this change, the thing I just told you guys, there is gonna be a week or two in November that I'm gonna have to skip. It's probably gonna be the last 2 weeks of November, and then I'll be back in December. But I'll let you guys know as I get a little closer to it, just because the whole moving thing. But yeah. So I will see you guys next week, and we'll keep pushing on some of these. I want to start getting to some show you guys hopefully some more final stuff, and kind of what finishing stages are like, because a lot of the stuff I've been showing you has been early concept stuff, because it's more fun to show because it, like paintings, the life of a development of a painting kind of goes from the first half hour you get like 80% of the way there, and then like the next like 5 hours the things don't change a whole lot in terms of the composition, the design of it, or the color of it, but you like it's just about refining and refining and refining, which isn't necessarily interesting. It's more fun to watch in like a speed paint, but it is cool to see those final results as well. But anyway, we'll call it there, and I'll see you guys next week. And thanks for the congratulations, guys. It means a lot.